All right, factoring is the opposite of foiling. So first I'm going to review foiling, and then we'll go backwards and we'll factor. So this would be the answer right here to a factoring problem, okay? So let's multiply this first and see if we can remember how to multiply. So we do first, which is x times x, which is x squared. And then we do outside, and we multiply this x times the -4, which is -4x. And then we multiply the inside 2, which is +3 times x, so that's plus 3x. And then we multiply the last 2 right here, and we get -12, right? And then we add those middle terms. So I get x squared. These two add together to make a -1x minus 12. So this would be the answer to a multiply problem, okay? Now what we're going to learn how to do is go the other way. Now let's factor the trinomial that we have, okay? So if you want to factor x squared minus x minus 12, okay? The problem's like, hey, let's factor that. All right, we're going the other direction. My answer has 2 sets of parentheses, okay? And today we're going to do pretty easy ones. So you should be able to do them quite quickly. All right. So the first 2 terms right here times right here, that has to multiply to be x squared. So what is going to go in those spots? X, okay? X times x. Now, every single time these 2 numbers right here, and I would write this down, the 2 numbers that go here have to multiply to be this last number right here. They have to multiply to be -12. And the same 2 numbers have to add to be the number that's in front of x. What number is in front of x that we don't see? -1. Include that negative sign, okay? So I need 2 numbers that multiply to -12 and add to -1. Let's say you don't know. I know all of you know, but don't tell me because we just did it. Like if you're like, I have no idea, what you can do is list the factors of 12. Like what is every single thing that multiplies to be 12? And you're like, well, Miss Weber, that's 1 times 12 and 2 times 6 and 3 times 4. Those are my only choices, okay? All of those multiply to give me 12, all right? But the only pair that you could add or subtract to get -1 is which pair of numbers? 3 times 4. Okay, and the only way to add those to get -1, right? 3 and 4. Which one of those has to be negative to add to -1?
4.
Yes. Okay, because now what's +3 times -4? That multiplies to -12, a positive times a negative, right? And what's 3 plus -4? If you add them together, you get -1. So I need a +3 and a -4. Now, if you put the -4 first and the +3 second, it's still correct because you can multiply in any order, right? So either way is fine. That's your answer. That's all you have to do, okay? Let's try another one. Write this down. X squared minus x minus 42. And it says factor. So as soon as it says factor, you're just thinking 2 sets of parentheses, 2 binomials that will multiply to give me that trinomial, right? And every time here, this times this has to equal the first term. So it's going to be x times x, all right? And then my next 2 numbers, they always are going to multiply to be this constant right here. And those same 2 numbers have to add to be the number that is in front of x, which happens to be -1, okay, that you don't see there. So you're going to be like, all right, what are everything that multiplies to 41? Just in case we can't come up with it, or 42. 1 times 42, 2 times 21, 3 times 16, nope, 14, 3 times 14, okay. 6 times 7. Okay, that's every single thing that can multiply to be 42. And I know most of you already know it, right? However, if you can't come up with it, you need to list every single thing that multiplies 42, okay? Then you at least tried. Now I need something that adds or subtracts to -1. What's the only one that will add and subtract to -1? 6 and 7. Which one has to be negative? The 7 has to be negative so that it adds to -1. So I'm going to do +6 minus 7. Okay, make sure those multiply to -42 and add to -1, and you're good to go. Hold on, I feel like I didn't do one that's out of order. So let's just like switch this up really quick and write it down like this. I don't know how, just let's, all right, if it's not in order, oh, we need a squared. Okay. If it's not in order, you have to put it in order or you might get confused, okay? So always put your x squared first and then your x term next and then your constant that doesn't have a variable last, okay? Once it's in order, now you can factor tractor. And so you're going to do your 2 sets of parentheses. And we're going to do x times x here because that's what gives me x squared. And now I need 2 numbers that multiply to -15 and add to -14. Anyone know what they are? Yes. 1 times 15. Okay. 1 times 15. Someone else. Which one has to be negative so that they add to -14? Maddie? Yes. The 15 has to be negative. The 1 has to be positive. So far, we've done all opposite signs. We need to have one that has double negatives. Hopefully, I did that. We'll see here. All right, let's try one more. Oh, ooh, look at all these. I have even more. Great. Great. Okay, x squared plus x minus 42. I agree with you, but this time it adds +1. So let's switch it. We'll just do it real quick. All right, what multiplies to 42, -42, and adds to +1? So probably 6 and 7. Which one has to be positive this time? Yes, in order to add to +1, and then they still multiply to -42. Yes. Yeah, it does not matter. So this answer here is also correct. Okay, samesies. All right, let's try one. Okay, finally I have a good one. All right, let's put it in order first. All right, we got x squared minus 5x plus 6. All right, so it's descending by exponent. And again, the x times the x gives me x squared. All right, now remember, it always has to, the 2 numbers always have to multiply here to +6 and add to -5. Again, let's say you don't know. Okay, what are some factors that multiply to 6? 1 times 6. Yeah, those are my only choices, okay? Now, they have to add to -5. Okay, this works right here, right? Watch this. Do you guys agree that these now add to -5? But do these numbers multiply to -6? I mean, +6. No, I need them to multiply to a positive. So even though these add to -5, these multiply to -6. So we have a problem, right? All right, how about right here? What could we do, Maddie? What do you think? Great. Yep. Perfect. So make sure it works for both and with both signs, okay? Because what is a negative times a negative? And what do I get when I add these together? A bigger negative, okay? So there you go. That's factor tractor right there. Let's try some of it. So in the graduate level course, Diana was taking each of 3 tests were weighted 20. The final paper was weighted 40. Diana's scores on the test were 80, 90, 100. Her score on the final paper was an 80. What was Diana's weighted average for the course? All right, this is like overall average, okay? So it says each of her 3 tests were weighted 20%, okay? So that means that each of these were weighted 20. So you're going to do 20 times 80 plus 20 times 90 plus 20 times 100. All right, so each of those were weighted 20. And then her final paper right here was weighted 40, and her score on that was an 80%. So we're going to do the weight times her score. And then we divide by the total weight. So as long as you put the weight first, it's all the numbers in front, okay? Which happens to be 100. So I'm just going to show you how to plug this into your calculator all at once, because some people mess this up just because they literally plug it into their calculator wrong. All right, so the best way to do this is to use that fraction thing I showed you when you're doing the unit multipliers. So you are going to press Control on the left-hand side and divide on the right-hand side here. So you get this lovely box, okay? And then we're just going to plug in what we just did, which is 20 times 80. Someone might have to read this to me, so I don't have to look back. All right, so I'm going to do 20, and you can just do times 80 if you want, plus, and then what was it? 20 times 90? 90? Hello? Yeah? Plus 20 times 100. Okay, thank you. Oh, shoot. All right, and you guys, you can arrow back if you mess up like I just did. This was supposed to be 20. All right, and then arrow back over. All right, and then I have plus 40 times, was that an 80? All right, and divided by, if you want to type in 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 40, you can, but I know that's 100, so I'm going to plug in 100. Okay, and if there's a decimal, your calculator won't always evaluate it. It'll leave it as a fraction, so I like to press Control Enter. Then I know it's going to give me like the continuing decimal, but we get 86 either way, even if you just press enter. All right, so that is your final answer, is she got an 86 in the class, okay? The next one is really just another pi button. However, I did want to show you now, you want to do both, and this problem is kind of a pain, so we'll do it, all right? A right circular cylinder has a radius of 4 feet and a height of 14 feet. As shown, find the surface area of the right circular cylinder. All right, you guys, what's formula for surface area? Okay. Every time you're doing surface area here, let's use this. Twice area of the base plus perimeter of the base times height. All right, so the area of the base is what shape? It is a circle. All right, area of the base is this lovely circle. So what am I going to plug in for the formula? Yeah, pi r squared. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in the 4 because the radius is 4. Okay. And now I have perimeter of the base times the height. What's the formula for perimeter of the circle, basically? Just 2 pi r. And we'll plug in the 4, okay, for that r. 2 pi r. And then what's the height of the cylinder? 14. All right. So 4 squared is where you need to start. Exponents first. So this would be 16, and then I'm going to multiply by 2 in my head, okay? So this 16 times 2 is 32 pi plus. All right, here I have 4 times 2 is 8, and we can go ahead and multiply by 14. Someone tell me what 14 times 8 is. 212? 112. All right, and that has a pi on it. Can I add these together? Yes, they both have a pi. So that would be 144 pi. And we get feet, and it's surface area, so squared. All right, this would have been your answer for semester 1, and now we're going to plug it into our calculator for semester 2. Did anyone bring their calculator for the first time and needs to get the settings going? All right, everybody go to on, especially if you just brought your calculator today. Go to settings, number 5. Then go to number 2, document settings. The main thing you need to change is this float. I just put it on 12. It gives you like a ton of decimals, and then I'm going to choose where to round it to so I can see the whole entire thing. After that, you guys, it's really not a big deal. We're not doing everything else yet. If you want to put this in degrees, you can. All right, and then you can press this tab button, and it gets you like to the OK really quick. Tab, 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 tab. Press OK, all right, enter on there, and go back to calculate. And then we're just going to plug in 144. And this pi button is on the left, kind of near the bottom. And you have to press enter on that pi symbol right there. Boom. Okay, I want you to round to 3 decimal places, which means you need to look at the 4th decimal. The 4th number here is a 3, so that's going to keep this as a 9. So final answer is 452.389. 452.389 feet squared is your decimal answer, okay? All right, you guys, I'm going to check 8, 14, 24, and 26.